Hey folks, welcome to Crucible Radio. You know, making that best of segment that we had on the show last week, I listened to over 85 intros to this very podcast, and all I really gathered was that we have gotten steadily less funny. So there's no joke here. We're very sorry.
We've jumped the shark.
Let's get on with season 2.
Hey guys, are we really not funny anymore?
I mean,
We used to be so funny.
we had bits and characters.
Genuinely
It's-
clever.
It's a shame to see, the spark go out.
Dead
Is the
podcast.
spark? Can a spark go out? No.
Conjured a flame in the palm of his hand and flickered out like a cheap match.
Sounds like cheap writing.
Wow. Oh, I guess we are funny. I guess we do got jokes.
Hi guys. Are we gonna do round? What's season 2 here? What are we doing?
It's season 2, man. We got new ways
Yeah.
of saying hello. We got to change the entire
Can
format.
we do a square table?
Well, no. Kermit is a permanent guest only for the intro.
100 episodes of Kermit in the intro.
Talking about pulse rifles. His favorite primary.
Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed episode 100. It was a hoot to participate in, and it was a hoot to put together. Made Bones do all the work. It's great.
I made birds do all the work.
It was a lot of work, and everyone should know that we are not putting that level of work into this episode. This I'm feeling is going to be kind of a loosey-goosey episode.
Yeah.
Little loosey-goosey. We're relaxing.
Yes.
Hopefully, cover some of the things we forgot or skimmed over from the Destiny 2 reveal. Talk about the TWAB.
Yeah, there's some news this week.
Details.
That's
Some
true.
frames per second. And we might have an ad, some subclass stuff, the normal stuff.
We might have an ad.
We do.
Maybe this could be our new opener. We describe what's going to happen in the show, but really
You
low
can get
energy.
out real quick.
Non-committal.
Here you go. At the top. What do you want?
Okay, but in all seriousness, thank you everyone who has tuned in for 100 episodes or heard last week's episode for the first time. We really appreciate you listening to it, and welcome to the squad, because we've got another 100 episodes already planned out, topics and everything. Not really, but we'll be here every Monday on your iTunes, on your computers, on your phone, or at crucibleradio.com. Always plugging. And I'm Bones. Hello.
Hi, Bones.
Hi.
Hey guys.
Who? I guess I'm Swain. Hi.
Hi.
This
Swain.
feels awkward. Birds. Who are you?
I'm Alex.
Alex J. Birds.
Yep. Yeah. If listeners have suggestions for a funny way we could say hello in a bit, let us know. What if we did instead of like a triangle shaped round, what if it just bounces back and forth between me and Swain
For 100 episodes? Yeah, sure.
Oh,
for 100 episodes?
that already happened
And,
for 20. It wouldn't be much of a shift into season
Okay.
2.
Yeah.
But like we really codified it as officially the new.
I am genuinely curious, if we ask listeners, how would you like to hear us introduce ourselves every week? What kind of responses we would get. So that's a
That's
question. Respond in the comments on Reddit or on Twitter and tell us your idea for how we should introduce ourselves every week for season 2.
Dear Crucible Radio, to open up next episode, kill yourself.
We'll how about that? We'll try out all the suggestions we have for intros and hellos. Okay, so send us an idea for an intro or a bit or a way we can say hello, and we'll try those out as the episodes go on. And if one is good, we'll stick with that one. How's that?
Yeah.
I have an idea. Follow my lead.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Birds, and when I think back on all my good Destiny memories to my very first magic sniper rifle drop, I remember it so clearly. I was in the tower, and I got an LDR with final round in perfect balance, and I was so happy.
My name is Swen. And my favorite sniper rifle drop was her benevolence. And then I rubbed in all your faces.
Oh, I was
It's a very early episode that we did. And I distinctly remember before it happening being like, oh yeah, I got this. And Buns being like, arg.
Arg. That's what I said.
Yep.
It was in our pirate phase. We did that intro quite a few times. My name is Bones, and I remember her benevolence. I remember re-rolling Aphrodite's spear. Aphrodite's. I don't remember my first icebreaker drop. I probably bought it from Zur, like any smart person did that week. I really liked when I got the winged word. I played 9 or so weeks of trials, getting to that 7th win on all 3 characters. I remember Birds got it the first trials round he played ever in year 3.
That was definitely one of my favorite moments from that last episode. Birds talking about how he got a grasp of Malik by doing a strike, and me and Bones just being genuinely surprised,
dropping characters, saying, "Really?"
Well, a similar thing happened with my Her Benevolence. It started off the opposite, where I literally got my Her Benevolence about 2 weeks before the year 2 light reset, taking King or House of Wolves, whatever it was. Just like grinding Prison of Elders week after week after week, and I finally got it. And then I took it to the gunsmith, and on my very first roll, I got the, at the time, then perfect roll of Hidden Hand Snapshot. And whatever the unflinching was. You remember Gunsmith re-rolling? I remember. I still, every time I have some glimmer left, I think, I got a year 1 shotgun. I should probably re-roll right now. That's why I'm always poor.
It's like an addict going back.
If this is the second episode of Crucible Radio that you're listening to after last week, you're probably wondering what is going on right now.
Okay, I have a question. For you guys.
Okay.
It's been, as of this recording,
it's been
new season, Birds. Come on. Tighten it up.
Sorry. It wasn't even my joke to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crucible Radio season 1 is really just like echoes of Comedy Bang Bang. Anyways, this is a general question. It's been exactly 7 days since we played D2. Yes, we were at the reveal.
Jeez.
We played quite a bit. What is one thing that you guys are sort of remembering or wishing you could sit down and play or do? Like, what was one aspect of Destiny 2 where when you turn on Destiny 1, you're like, I can't wait for this feature specifically, or this feel or this vibe? Like, what's the one thing that sort of has stuck with you that you keep thinking about?
I definitely did not have a great handle on sort of the nature of the class abilities. Like the Hunter Shade Step was okay, but like the Titan Wall and the Circle of Happiness, I just didn't have a good sense of like how long the cooldown was on it, sort of when to pop it, or like what the different perks were, and ended up just like sitting on it for a lot of the time, or popping in at the wrong time and getting mushed a second later. I'm so looking forward to being able to like get that into my gameplay loop of like, okay, this is ready. I'm going to go here. I'm going to drop the circle here. I'm going to have my teammate with me. We're going to trade off grenades. Like being able to really treat that as like a competitive mechanism in your kit instead of just like, oh, right, if you hold circle, a thing happens eventually, but only sometimes.
I would say for me, it was using more of the variety, like a bigger variety of the power weapons.
Yeah,
I didn't play enough with the other ones because I enjoy, like you didn't get to use it as often, so I guess that's a good thing in some way. But when I did get it, I was like, I just want to play more and more with a fusion rifle here. So. That's where I gravitated to. I would love, I didn't get to play with the grenade launcher. When I had it equipped, I just never got power ammo. So,
I do miss the grenade launcher, and then realizing that like HMGs are still in Destiny 1. I'm like, this is so boring.
Yeah, it's definitely tough coming back to Destiny 1 after you've played Destiny 2 to not having those quality of life things. It's quite the tease.
Bonesy, we'll get to you in a sec. I will say on the flip side, I've definitely started to appreciate some of the crazy movement abilities in Destiny 1, like realizing how, like for a game like Destiny, like just how fast skating is, just how fast moving around with bones is. That just wasn't at least available to us in D2. Just, yeah, gonna enjoy that while it lasts. Okay, Bonesy, what are you looking forward to?
So much. I really, really miss the map and having a new place to run around and new angles to find. And that I just keep watching gameplay, and I'll just kind of like stare at it for a little bit. Like I'm not intensely focusing on what the player is doing themselves. I guess maybe a little bit noticing how movement is similar, still sliding and things like that, but just going like, oh man, this whole little side angle engagements were so fun. I remember someone, trying to flank here and falling off the side into the port. There's like a little port where boats pull up or something like that, and you can fall off the back. It was like a little ninja route, and just going like, I can't wait to figure out all those weird ways engagements will work. And then realizing like I know every map now in Destiny 1 like the back of my hand, and that's just like a little less exciting. I like that sense of new and new places to walk around.
Yeah, the map was really nice, and I'm very excited to see some more maps from those guys in Destiny 2's framework.
Yeah, I want to play a PvP match just like surrounded by those red trees. Flying around, or like knocking people off the edge into a methane ocean.
I haven't thought enough about that, but all of those locations that they've shown briefly, and all those viaducts and the crazy Vex structures, and like all of that will be utilized as Crucible maps, I assume, if it's anything like any other PvP video game. So it's so cool to think, oh, we're gonna have not only well-made maps that we enjoy and fit a certain game type, but also just like that look cool and different. Because Midtown, as new as it was, and Destiny 2 certainly looks new to me, was like a tower map, very much like Bannerfall. So the aesthetic was like very familiar, but there's going to be some aesthetics that are entirely unfamiliar, and that just really affects your game and how you come to understand a map. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Here.
Can I say one more thing? Just like one PvE thing per episode? Can I have this one?
Maybe this should be like a recurring bit in season 2 of Crucible Radio. Exactly one, no more, no less.
No more than one
from Swain.
I want to know what the hell the Cabal are doing to our sun.
Okay, explain this one to me, because you mentioned this. What are they gonna do to our sun?
There's like
what is going on?
There's brief glimpses in the thing we watched of them like pulling things from the sun, and it looks like they
built
another
super
planet
weapon out of a planet and are sucking the sun's energy to launch at other planets.
There's lots of evidence to support that theory, because like the first thing the Ghost says about the Cabal is like 800 pounds. They blow up planets just for getting in their way.
That's true.
Why they gotta blow up our sun?
Why they gotta do that?
Why you gotta go blow up our sun?
Anyway, that's it.
Yeah, did you guys catch that thing in the viaduct where Mark Noseworthy was like, so the tower is being attacked by the First Order. I mean the Red Legion.
Bones. We do one per episode.
I just Googled Red Legion delete our sun and
delete it?
One of my first page results is delete my Uber account. You delete your Uber account from help.uber.com. Uber, why is the Red Legion trying to delete our sun? All right, guys, we've got some news this week in the TWAB. The TWAB details keep on coming, and we got some clarification on a rather controversial issue, and I'm still parsing this, to be honest.
I want to say this as like, I think Deej mentions it in the TWAB, is that like the best place for kind of talking through these things is definitely not a gigantic airport hangar where there's 500 people talking.
Yeah.
So everything we were getting from that day was like very fast and furious and like one-offs, what you hear, like talking to another person, like, oh, you heard this dev say that or this dev say this. I think the best place for a thorough answer is something like this, like where Deej sits down with the person who made it and asks them the question outright in little interview style.
Of course, the answer is that
it's complicated.
It's complicated. Swain knows it by now. Swain knows the drill. So they point out that, well, okay, dedicated servers is a term that means something in the gaming community. It's when you have everything being run on the server and all of the players are just purely clients connecting to that server. So 100% exists there. In Destiny 1, we had pretty pure peer-to-peer. So
can you say that again? Pretty pure peer-to-peer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Destiny 1 had pretty pure peer-to-peer.
There you go.
Not bad.
Pretty purebred, peer-to-peer puppies.
Which is to say that one player gets elected to be the host, and they run the sort of master copy of the game world, and everyone's checking in with them. And they had all this very clever engineering to make sure that if it needed to switch to someone else because that person dropped off or something, that it just did so seamlessly and that it could happen many times in a match without you noticing. It also could go wrong and you get people rubber banding around. So the change now is not 100% dedicated servers, but they are now hosting the master physics of the game world on a server, and they're using cloud servers. I wonder if they're on like AWS. That'd be my guess. Probably not Azure or Google Cloud. But they've got dedicated servers that are hosting the game world. So now everyone who logs in is still running a copy of it, but it is a single server that owns what has happened in the world. So when I shoot the gun, I get to have the experience, but the server decides ultimately what went down. And they believe this is going to reduce weird lag stuff where, because it's just the players sort of all agreeing with each other that, you know, someone with a bad connection gets to be teleporting around, or at least happen less so. This is the kind of thing to me that is like interesting as a technical person, but what I suspect is that ultimately what really matters is like, how does it play? Does it feel like we have good matches? Does it feel like there's fewer trades? I kind of don't care how they implement it if it feels good, and if it works pretty reliably. And I will say for the most part, I've had a pretty good experience in D1. I do trust Bungie to do a good job with it.
I will say we just spent 10 minutes of airtime before we recorded this, going over someone who was not happy with this and their tweets and lags and all that. So it really varies from person to person and their internet connection and all that. So it does get more complicated outside of the, outside of Destiny 1 and outside of, the comfort zone of a big city, maybe.
What, were you call me a city slicker just because I live in one of the largest cities in the country with really good internet? Yeah.
I'll say this about this kind of news in terms of how does the hardware work? What's the PS4 capable of? Frames per second, servers, like in all of that, it's okay to be interested in it. I'm interested in it. I'm curious to see how it will change from now until then in the sequel. But like, if you're the type of person that's dedicated to this game, invested in it, and listening to this show kind of thing, like you're at a certain level with Destiny. So use this to just brace yourself, get used to something, and decide how much you want to invest. And I think it's fair to say that maybe people played Destiny going, I fully trust Bungie. This is Halo, blah, 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 blah. It's going to be amazing. And then there were flaws, and they realized those flaws. You spent 3 years with them. You've kept playing it. You worked through it. So now just go like, all right, cool. I know what I'm getting. I'm passionate about this game. For me, it's about the world. It's about the experience that I find really, really fun. So just go with the flow and take the time now to just really decide how much you want to spend another 3 years talking about servers, because I don't like talking about servers that much.
Yeah, I don't like talking about something I know very little about. That's why I shouldn't be on this show.
Oh, we got jokes.
Hot takes.
Yep, I'm hilarious.
Either way, exciting news. I thought that was really cool to see. Sometimes after these big reveals, the update is just sort of saying like, remember that reveal, watch it. Like this was like more than I expected. This was like some really cool information, and I'm always happy to hear from other people in Bungie when they do this sort of thing. I love those. I love, like Yuswain said, interviews. They're just interesting because there's so much going on. But so there's been other details confirmed, so to speak. Everyone's been saying, all right, so we saw the reveal. We watched that amazing Zavala video, but what is there going to be? What's going to be confirmed? What are we going to get? What's been standing out to you guys or stuff you're excited about that we found out maybe after the reveal itself?
I don't know. What is your favorite thing that you've had confirmed?
Fucking seamless.
All right, I'll just talk to myself about like attunements. I'll just have a conversation.
I want you to tell me about attunements, Buns, because I didn't get to look into it as much as you did.
Yes. Okay. So these attunements were, we could sort of see in the game when we were inspecting them, but this part was blocked off. So we're not thinking like, okay, do we unlock those 4 perks next and I can select one of them and eventually get that in-air dodge on Dawnblade? And Mark Noseworthy did confirm that these attunements are locked perks. And yeah, we figured that out a little bit last week. But now that I've had time to think about it, I think it's a really interesting choice. Some people are saying, oh, that's less customization. But really, if you think about it, I have used the same subclass setup for a year and a half on some of these subclasses. And I change it ever so slightly and probably change it back soon. But I think this is good because this is like pre-planned synergy as opposed to, well, here are 8 interesting perks about the subclass. What makes Voidwalker different? And then you just find out the ones that all kind of stack up to a good, powerful class, and you just use those. Now I think we won't have that just sort of obvious power choice, but at least we're using other stuff and we're getting this pre-planned synergy where it's like, oh, this perk matches this perk and it's going to work together. So I don't know. I think it's a cool choice. And I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but I'm really excited to see how the attunements work out.
It plays into what we were talking about last week. It's just going to be easier for them to balance it.
Yeah.
If there's less options. Think of it like Overwatch. Overwatch is easy for them to balance because there's literally one choice for each thing.
Yeah.
You pick a thing and it's got the one loadout. And I think that Destiny will see more success if there's less choices. And that's a very controversial statement, but it's got plenty of choices in other directions. I think you'll still be happy.
I was thinking about Overwatch 2, and like, granted, there are 24 characters, and there are interactions that are different between each character when they interact with another character. But really, everything's really slimmed down. And you've got something like Roadhog where there's like 3 buttons to press. You shoot, you alternate shoot, you hook, and then you just like go heal around a corner. That's not really interactive. But there's so many fascinating and funny and awesome, cool things that happen in the Overwatch game where there's like 3 game modes, the same characters, and you just go do that over and over. And like very awesome plays happen. And you just look at the subreddit, it's always like, holy crap, I didn't ever think that could be possible. So I'm not worried about, oh, well, it's going to be boring or it's going to be like more simplified and it's not as deep or interesting as Destiny 1. But like, I don't even worry just looking at how other games can do that and be absolutely fine and still have exciting new things to happen.
I guess I am a little worried about it. I mean, like, it all depends on how it plays. I really enjoy spending time really going through all of the different options and trying combinations. And like that is part of the game for me, that, just seeing how different things interact, especially when you've got, 8 different choices and they all interact in different ways. So from just like purely that like nerding out on, well, what if I combine this with this kind of thing? Who knows what we'll actually see there, but I might miss it. I could see it being an issue of having of the 4 perks that you get, having like 3 of them that you're really into and 1 that you just don't like. And the thing that comes to mind is like, wow, I really like all of these, but I just don't like the Angel of Light mechanic where like you're just floating when you're ADS'd. That you almost wish you could just, instead of getting something else, maybe just turn it off. I could see that being a frustration. The thing that occurs to me is that the way they presented it, where it shows as 4 different boxes that kind of looks selectable, they should just make it one big box with 4 things in it. And then you go, oh, well, I just have 3 choices. Which one do I want to pick? Instead of I had 12 choices and they've locked me into 4 of them.
That makes total sense from a design standpoint and why we all thought like, well, maybe once you unlock one, you just pick again, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get one top one right one, something like that. I'm curious to see what they are. I mean, I think one of the plus sides, because there is the argument, okay, well, it's going to be easier to balance, and that's important. You're going to have, you're not going to run into the max armor Titan where it's just like, hey, this one statistically is going to win a lot more gunfights. But I think what we saw was that of those, the very limited set of attunements that we saw, they were really rich. Like the perks all synergized. They all had fairly significant effects. They were all pretty powerful. It was in a way kind of almost like having a subclass inside of a subclass. And so it might be helpful not to look at it as like, well, they've locked me into one of these things and I don't get to choose it, because the thing that you get to choose, which attunement you want, can potentially be so much deeper that like, it's still a striker Titan, but this is a fundamentally different gameplay style now that, I've gone from more mobile to more static, or more air-based to more ground-based, or who even knows? I mean, maybe there's, a bigger weapon affinity with one attunement versus another. So I'm going to be interested to see if these are kind of, like what we saw in Dawnblade was like a pretty intense modification to sort of the base class of your jump in, your grenade, to kind of see what themes they go with and just sort of how powerful and how different from each other these attunements are. I think that could be interesting. And that's something that's a little bit easier to, like, how many times have you loaded into a trials match and like checked out the perks on the other team, be like, oh, they're running that all wrong. They don't know what they're doing. Just to not have that be an issue that like, oh, you don't know what the meta set of perks is.
Yeah.
You're at a disadvantage. Instead, it's more just like you have choices. They're all valid. Pick the bucket and play that style.
One more thing on these attunements. I talk about this when I was saying about how exotic armor could change in D2 and what I want to see from a competitive level about players using their exotic armor. Now we get to think about that in terms of attunement. So it's like, okay, I'll just use D1 terms. So it's like Lumi is a Night Stalker. The dude can shade step like no other. He's great with a shotgun. He plays Night Stalker. When you say that, you kind of know what perks Lumi uses on Night Stalker. So say he goes full Arc Strider in D2. It's like, okay, Lumi is a great Arc Strider, but which attunement does he use? Is he preferring this one? Because they're going to have to make a choice, like Birds, like you said, like maybe that perk is suboptimal, but you got to use it if you like that really good one. And now we're going to have identities as players of like, okay, there's two really, really good Arc Striders, and there's going to be plenty. But one of them's really good with this one, and the other one's really good with this one. So, Birds, when you said there's subclasses within the subclasses, yeah, just like multiply it by that much.
That's how I feel is Sun charging Sunbreaker.
Yeah.
Almost. Because that's much different than the other way to play Sunbreaker.
Yeah, and you can do that now in D1 and be like, no, I really want to use that, but there's a good chance it might be suboptimal when it comes to pure competitiveness about using the best perks playing to win. And now that's not really on you for making like a suboptimal choice based on playstyle. It's just a playstyle choice. And I think that's going to be very interesting when it comes to talking about how players utilize all this stuff.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to get deeper into these specific attunements, the ones we do know about for the Gunslinger, Striker, and Dawnblade. But first, we've got to give a little shout out to our sponsor, helping make this show happen. Our sponsor this week is Dollar Shave Club.
Ooh.
Dollar Shave Club is the smarter choice. You get a great shave at a great price, conveniently delivered right to your door. It's an awesome life hack and no-brainer choice. You no longer have to schlep to the store to buy a cheap disposable one and give a cheap shave or spend a fortune and it's all gimmicky and all that sort of thing. You just get the thing you need.
I know you've been in that situation where it's like you're looking at your razor and the blades are all janky and you're hoping like, I bet I could get one more shave out of this. I just don't want to go to the store. Dollar Shave Club, they send the razors to your door as needed. You always have a nice sharp razor, but they send you with their starter kit a product called Dr. Carver's Shave Butter, and this stuff is a game changer. It's transparent for a more precise shave. It's so smooth. It's going to make your skin feel great. You're going to look and feel better when you have a good shave.
For a limited time, new members get their first month of the Executive Razor with a tube of their Dr. Carver's shave butter for only $5 with free shipping. After that, razors are just a few bucks a month. That's a $15 value for only $5. And in your first month box, you get an awesome, weighty handle, a full cassette of 4 cartridges, and a tube of the shave butter. After your first month, replacement cartridges ship automatically at the regular price. No hidden fees, no commitments, cancel anytime you like.
Look, you can only get this offer exclusively at dollarshaveclub.com/crucible. Go there now, dollarshaveclub.com/crucible. So we don't know much about attunements. We've only seen 2 attunements for 3 of the subclasses that are available to us. So still a lot more coming. But I'm looking at a guide right now by Reddit poster ypatel94. Thank you very much for typing all of this up, who has documented every detail of every perk. And this is interesting. So let's start with Dawnblade. When we were playing Dawnblade, we were locked into Attunement of Skytree. And there are 4 perks here. And we actually talked about these last week, but this is Igniting Touch. So your powerful melee ability that ignites enemies and causes them to explode. Not unlike Brimstone from the current Sunsinger. Risen Angel, while in air, aim your weapon to hover in place for a short time, dealing precision damage, extends this effect's duration. So like kinda Angel of Mercy. Skyfire, while Daybreak is active, Descend causes explosive damage where you land.
Ooh, so that's like
Yeah, is there an equivalent for that?
It's kind of like a sunspot, but
yeah, like a sunspot almost, but like a sunspot combined with like the exploding hammers.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and combine that with the last attunement, and this is a good argument for attunements because that perk makes a lot more sense when you combine it with Phoenix Dive. Hold circle while in air to quickly descend and regenerate health. So you rapidly descend, you're regenerating health along the way, and you cause explosive damage where you land. This is an interesting combination. It seems like this one is really focused on the air game, which for Dawnblade makes sense. The Igniting Touch is sort of interesting. I'm trying to find like a thematic tie or like a synergy here. I guess you could say Skyfire causes explosive damage where you land, and Igniting Touch causes people to explode. So this one is like flying around and exploding stuff.
Yeah, this one's about being high up and making things blow up.
Yep. AKA D2 Sunbreaker.
Another thing we can gain from these attunements as we go through them. One, some of them are called different things like Code of Juggernaut or Way of the Outlaw, but it does seem to contain all melee perks. So if there's going to be an adjustment to your melee, you're going to find it in the attunement, and then you'll get one thing that's almost definitely related to the super, maybe like an extra thing that happens in your super. So for Fist of Havoc now, you've got Aftermath or Shockwave, that sort of adjustment. These happens in the attunement. So those sort of passive or extra super abilities. Some of them are a little bit different. Some of them have 2 super effects, but that's where you're finding these sort of adjustments.
This might be most interesting to kind of contrast it with the other tree that we got to see, which we don't have a name for. This one is a little bit different. So there's a melee ability up top. This one damages enemies while also increasing your movement and reload speed, which is new. It's like a flame shield, but instead of a shield, you get Ophidian Aspect for a second.
You get Surge.
Okay. No, this makes sense. Wildfire, engage your enemies mid-flight so you can fire weapons and throw grenades while you're in your glide, I guess, without canceling it. Blazing Dash gives you your Twilight Garrison, and Everlasting Flames is killing an enemy with Daybreak, extends its duration. This one is interesting because this one is also centered around an air game, but it's a different kind of air game. It's not about just getting up there, staying up there, and then coming down very quickly. This one gives you fewer options to kind of just extend your total airtime, but you are more powerful and you have a lot more control while you are in the air.
It looks like from looking at 2 of them, they're going to try and incorporate that extended super into these Roman supers, because the Fist of Havoc one has one called Trample, which makes the Fist of Havoc last longer while sprinting, and killing enemies with Fist of Havoc extends the duration. So it's like they're going for these roaming supers that as long as they are chaining kills, they can keep chaining kills.
Interesting. I suppose on the other side of it, you have the Gunslinger perk we played with that is a little tricky, which gives you twice as many golden gun shots, but you have way less time to use them.
When I see this attunement for the Dawnblade, I just think of the warrior playstyle. This is about being aggressive, continuing to push and put pressure on your enemy, even as you're doing a jump to evade or something like that. Like this one is going to be for those fast, aggressive players who like to hold forward and just want to shoot and kill stuff a lot, or really top tier players who I can totally picture taking the Dawnblade and turning it to the most aggressive class out there.
Yeah, I want to see how the Sentinel handles these as well, because from some of the footage you get to see like them throwing the shield, and the one was like holding it up almost kind of like Reinhardt, and like people could probably maybe stand behind it, and it's like a mobile bubble almost. So
mobile bubble,
Alabama. I'm really looking forward to playing this unnamed tree on the Dawnblade, because I think it describes a playstyle. So both being able to basically do anything while you're gliding, and also having that Twilight Garrison. This seems to me like a hand cannon playstyle. Like assuming hand cannons carry over that sort of increased in-air accuracy, that you're not just static, you're not just kind of, floofing like you are with your risen angel of mercy. You're incredibly mobile while in air. And you're still functional while in air. You're still able to have a proper engagement there. So this seems like it's really going to favor guns and play styles that work well for mid-range in-air accuracy. And that the Firestarter perk kind of caps it off with increasing your movement and your reload speed. So it's encouraging you to close the gap, get close, and that's what's going to let you keep moving, keep dodging, and reload quickly and continue. And I got to say, some of those hand cannon reloads were pretty painful. Felt like I didn't have my hand cannon reloaders on. So maybe this is how you compensate. You take a gun with in-air accuracy and slow reload, and you spend some time in the air and speed up your reload speed. Shall we move on to Striker?
Yes, we shall move to Striker. So Striker has what we got to play was called the Code of Juggernaut tree. And it's got 4 perks like the other one. First one being breaking enemy shields increases your melee range. And this is something me and actually Keen talked a lot about that day and what it could possibly mean. And we are pretty excited because, as a Titan, you feel like Titans probably should have had a pretty decent melee range, but they end up being, capped to, the T-Rex arms for so long. So I like seeing the word Titan along with increased melee range.
Well, I mean, in this,
it feels like a tanky type of build.
I'm gonna do one further. I think that this is the warrior shotgun build for this Juggernaut tree, because you've got 2 perks that are focused around increasing your melees or encouraging you to use your melee. So breaking the enemy shield and following up with a quick melee sounds like shotguns to me. And melee kills immediately trigger health regeneration. Sounds like something you'd want when you're warrioring. And then finally, Frontal Assault, a powerful melee punch that grants you increased weapon stability. Maybe that's actually the shotgun in-air accuracy felt okay. I guess I don't know how this works. I mean, I didn't see this perk active.
That's the follow up. Like you punch someone off you and you hand cannon them real quick.
Okay. And so it increases after that point. And then finally, as you mentioned earlier, Trample, Fist of Havoc lasts longer while sprinting. Killing enemy with Fist of Havoc extends the duration. This seems like the run around, get in people's faces and punch and shotgun them to death.
I think this works really well. This one as like the Sunbreaker, as playing with as a Sunbreaker for a lot of Destiny 1. The choice between using your throwing hammers and your sun charge hammers, there's always the trade-off. You got 6 sun charges as opposed to less hammers. And I think this works in the same way that like Fist of Havoc, when you do the slam, is the bigger move. Like you are wasting a lot of your super by using that. But when you choose to use, the striker charge or shoulder charge or whatever, you are going to have a lot more, Fist of Havoc energy. And you could also, if you're chaining them together, you can keep building it and keep getting those kills with it. You just got to play a little bit smart.
I would like to know how an expert sun charger or jug charger, we're going to have names for this before too long, how long you could really keep that Fist of Havoc
I'm the
going.
Juggernaut, bitch.
Yep. Just that endless loop gif of crashing through wall after wall or enemy after enemy. I'm thinking about this next tree, and I'm looking at this one, and I'm trying to come up with a story for it. And this one seems a little bit harder to put your finger on. It seems like 4 useful bits of kit, but it seems like sort of a jack of all trades. So of course we've got shoulder charge on this one. We've got aftermath. We've got magnitude, increasing the duration of your grenades, and aerial strike.
I think I know this. So
Okay.
I feel like this is more of like the Fizz build. You're doing setups and
Yes.
you are making movements around the map to set up your spaces, because a lot of this seems like something that's like cornering off sections of the map, or dealing greater damage in certain areas.
This is your area control. So you've got your aftermath perk to shut down an area after Fist of Havoc, and you've got much more output from your grenades and from aftermath that really you're controlling a zone, but you're just not all up in it the entire time in the same way you would be with Code of Juggernaut.
I'll state the obvious a little bit too, that this unnamed tree for strikers seems like a PvE thing with long-term grenades, more damage with your Fist of Havoc. I mean, you don't need more damage to kill a Guardian. You want to try to get really high up and drop down on a boss, which I like. I know this is Crucible Radio, but hey, strikers in PvE
really used in PvE.
Exactly. I mean, this is nice. It gives them some viability in a PvE setting for guys who just love playing striker.
Maybe that's why shoulder charge ended up on this one, because
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, shoulder charge is not an issue in PvE. It can be a little bit frustrating on the perfect build. So if you want to get access to that shoulder charge, you're not going to get 3 other perks that are
make you a PvP god.
Yeah, that melee follow-ups and shoulder charges and just running in through rooms, probably a little crazy.
I mean, I think even just looking at 2 of these perks, just shoulder charge and magnitude, I mean, you've got a pretty solid PvP approach there, which is you can shoulder charge people, and also you get more mileage out of your grenade. I mean, you're not going to be getting your super that often to justify having that many Fist of Havoc oriented perks. But it seems like, it seems like an interesting sort of middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Let's talk Gunslinger, birds.
And the hammer. This was actually one of the first things I noticed when playing Gunslinger, was triggering Chain of Woe and going, oh, okay, I know what this is. I mean, you still have your knife. You've got, on Way of the Outlaw tree, you have explosive knife. Throw a knife at enemies that explodes shortly after impact when melee energy is full. I don't know if I saw this one in action. I certainly threw some knives at some people. So we still have Chain of Woe, which, is a nice utility perk. It's not a game changer, but now it not only increases reload speed for you, but also for your allies. So, if you get a pick, or you manage to get 2 picks and it takes your whole team to do it, and you get that final shot, everyone's going to be that much more ready to engage on the next one. But I really like this first perk, Bombs for Bullseyes. Precision hits generate grenade energy, and there's such clear synergy between Bombs for Bullseyes and Chain of Woe. 6-shooter is an expensive perk to get access to those 2. But if you are playing the way Gunslingers, at least in sort of the concept, are meant to be played. The very accurate, high skill, aim-based gameplay. This seems like a great setup. If you can land those precision hits and if you can get precision kills, you're basically getting outlaw. You're getting outlaw for all of your friends, and you're going to be getting your grenade a lot more often than most other players will.
Yeah, and that's something we talked about last week. We were interested in how things would affect your cooldowns, and this is one right here where if you are super precise, you will get your grenade quicker.
Little side note about this subclass stuff that I'm excited for. We saw on the Warlocks that Dawnblade gets the Surge kind of ability, so it's kind of stealing from the Voidwalker. And now we see a little bit of the Hunter stealing from a Warlock kind of thing, because that Chain of Woe really operates like Pulse Wave does. And it's really cool to see them sort of using those passive abilities, but mixing it up across classes, not just within the same class. So it's going to be cool to see those utilities kind of move around and let hunters get a chance to see how it affects their builds.
A hunter that cares about others?
What?
No.
Not true to the lore, Bungie.
Way to go, Bungo.
This next tree reminds me of the setup I used playing Night Stalker on the first day of Night Stalker when we were mostly just playing PvE, and said, oh, I can help now. Because this one, I mean, this seems like the PvE setup. So precision hits with Golden Gun increase its damage and extend its duration. Precision hits with Golden Gun generate orbs for your allies. Gunslinger's Trance. So when you land precision kills, a little bit different now. When you land precision kills, it reduces the cooldown of your Golden Gun. And finally, Knife Juggler. So if you can land precision knives, you get a new one back. This seems like a PvE powerhouse. Oh my God.
Really rewarding a very skilled hand. I think it's pretty interesting to note that Golden Gun is requiring precision hits. I mean, that's definitely a big change up when it comes to how the Gunslinger operates. Part of why that super is so freaking strong in the Crucible is because you can get it fast. You just hit their foot. That's all you need to do. But now if you really want to make the most out of it, you got to really land those shots. And I think that's going to be kind of like a cool, at least personal challenge to use that super in a more refined, accurate way to get more out of it.
I can say subjectively when I was playing it, it's clearly the same super in a lot of ways, but using the Golden Gun felt very different. Like when you play Golden Gun right now in D1, yeah, okay, you're holding a glowing last word, but it basically is just like point at this person and they explode. Just click on them and they're dead. It felt a lot more like a gun. I mean, part of that was having 6 shots and just the animation feel of fanning the hammer. But it felt much more like actually having to land those shots than just, the crazy aim assist of the current current Golden Gun. There was a different feel to it that's hard to quantify, but I definitely noticed when I was playing it.
Birds, are you kind of into the Golden Gun, or do you think you're going to be like an Arc Strider maid when it comes down to it?
I gotta see what the rest of the kit looks like.
Everybody wants to play the new hotness.
Yeah. I mean, it seems cool. I am definitely interested in playing new subclasses that are entirely different from anything we've seen, because people who really master those or even just figure them out early are gonna have an edge, at least for, the first month of playing. But the other thing is that, like, look, I'm a Hunter main, but I'm a Night Stalker main, and that's just a very different play style. I love spike grenades. I love zone control. I love seeing people die off screen and just chuckling to myself. And Gunslinger's not set up for that. Gunslinger's about hitting headshots, and that's cool. But I don't, I want to be rewarded for my sense of geometry and like my planning with a throw and management of cooldowns more than my pure gun skill, just because, there are people out there who aim better than I do.
It's okay. You're old.
For sure.
We were past our prime like 5 years ago for me, and like more for you guys. So don't even worry.
We're competing in the MLG seniors division this year.
I keep saying we need to have a tournament of 25 and up. I think that would be really fun to watch. Crucible Radio old people tournament.
You should get you get like a buff for every 10 years on your age. So if you're 7 years old,
the trophy's just like a walker.
Yeah. A hunter with a cane. The Arcs Rider has like a cane.
The grand prize is that your grandkids call you.
We're not that old. But in video game world, maybe a little bit.
That's a pretty deep dive, guys.
It is. And I also wonder about the, we've been calling all of these attunements. I wonder if attunement is just the warlock thing.
I was kind of thinking about that this whole episode.
Attunements, codes, and ways. And like clearly it's all about the way on the Gunslinger, if not hunters in general.
Curds. It's all about the curds, not the way.
That took me a second to parse, and like it's not like ha funny, but nicely done, Swain.
Thank you.
Swain really trying to keep us on that funny, yes. Because we lost it. End of season 1, we were just kind of boring, and Swain's like, I'm getting us back in there. Oh, but you know what? I'm gonna read Mark Noseworthy's tweet. The paths in each subclass can't be mixed and matched. They are designed to work as a group of 4 together. Example, this path or that path. So we can call them subclass paths because that's not a tongue twister.
That's the generic term.
Or trees.
Okay, I'll take it. I thought of an answer to your question earlier that I hardcore whiffed. What we've learned since that I'm excited for.
Yeah.
This is not a PvP thing at all, and I know that this is a little bit divisive. People feel definitely some kind of way about this. The removal of Grimoire, I am so excited for because the two things I don't like about games are games where there's super, super deep story that you don't experience at all unless you read about it on the internet. It's just because I'm not going to go do it. I'd rather play. I want it to be integrated. But at the same time, I also don't like games where you're playing the main story mission and it's just all this lore is in your face. Like that was Horizon Zero Dawn for me at that, like when you finally get to that one place, I'll say it that way. And it's just like audio recording after audio recording after audio recording with no one to shoot. And Bones, you'd sort of mentioned this, like if the lore is integrated, so I've got my main plot, I've got my PvP, and then I can go on side missions. I can track down lost sectors. I can really, truly scan things all throughout the world and start to piece this story together. That is exactly how I want to experience it, which is on demand. You can skip it if you're not in the mood for it. And there's consequences, like it affects the outcome of your gameplay. There's some real weight to it as you explore the story. I am so psyched for that, and I can't wait to see some of like the weirder, more deeper lore come into the fold instead of just we go fight Crota now.
Really not paying attention to the bits in season 2. 1 PvE recognition per episode.
I'm not
from
sticking
Swain.
to that. Yeah,
I
from you.
used it.
You did yours. You made that rule.
I used our episode 1. Anyway. Press L2 to view lore.
Yeah, skip ahead. Look, this is the end of the episode. Let's be realistic. We can chat about PvE for at least a second. I was going to say that, Horizon Zero Dawn's a good example, but I think the best way to do it, the best RPGs, let you do the main story and then tell you about it in the side quests, as opposed to feeling like I have to slow down my progression in this main storyline to go pick up lore items. So I think as long as we have all this amazing new patrol PvE lost sectors stuff, then we don't have to worry about it. And yeah, maybe we'll eventually want to go back and be like, what was that scannable item in the Phobos thing that I never read? Like, what was that?
It'd be great to be able to just access it. Like, like in Horizon, where you can just go to that whole entire page and you just pick one and you can read it or listen to it. That's it. I didn't even think about it. That could possibly be a way for them to put like vocal Grimoire into the game of some sort.
But
like,
just don't stop me on my main quest to pick that up, and I'll happily go search it out when I feel like a break from my primary storytelling. But it's neither here nor there because it's not out yet.
Bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
I have a year one memory that kind of sums it up for me. Like, I remember when Taken King came and we got so many extra quests. Swain, I remember you saying like, oh, if you haven't played all the way through Petravenge's storyline, like go do all of those because that story is really interesting. I don't want to tell you, just like go play them. Yeah, that is what you said. And that was like, that is how I want to experience this lore, which is like, oh, I heard this story is really interesting. I could just look at the Grimoire cards. No, I want to go do it. I want to go experience it and have something important happen along the way.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of stuff in Destiny 1's Grimoire that no one will know about ever because it was just too inaccessible. I applaud those that went out and find it and, put the stories together and do all the work. But it was just not accessible. It
was hard to access and flat out hard to understand. I mean,
yeah.
Like you said, I appreciate so much someone who's going to do the math for me and go, this one explains this one. But sometimes you look at it and you're like,
this one equals that one.
This is freaking like reading code for me. I can't actually do it.
Imagine though, if in Taken King, instead of Grimoire, they actually gave you the Book of Sorrows.
Yeah.
And you filled in the pages, like you added pages as you went along.
Oh my God.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. Like, I feel like in D1, there was a really hard cut between like the lore that makes it into the game, which is like pretty straightforward, big bad guy storyline. And then like the deep Grimoire, which is completely bonkers of like, yeah, just the Book of Sorrows is like, yeah, there's like a planet with 42 moons and an underworld and these worms that inhabit people, like the weird sci-fi I like to read. And I'm like, what is going on? But that stuff is too weird to make it into the core story missions, which are like, there's a bad guy trying to take this planet. We're going to knock him off of it. Like, no, give me a way to get to the weird stuff.
Shit.
Like
your journey ends here.
Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's end this episode
screaming about lore.
Let's end this episode screaming about Grimoire and lore on Crucible Radio.
Podcast for all things Destiny 2 PvP. We hadn't said it
yet. Yeah, we're on track to keep that a promise.
Maybe in season 2 we'll say it at the end of every episode after. When it's no longer necessary because it's obvious from context.
Got to do one more thing, and that's announce a bet that I'm making with Mega Magwitch, okay? So
I super love this bet.
All fans of Crucible Radio and the Planet Destiny podcast are going to have to hold us accountable to this. So here's the bet. I'm taking the pessimistic side, okay? So I'm already prepared to make a few enemies and get people upset. I bet that there is no beards in Destiny 2. Mega believes that there will be beards.
Of course he does.
Of course.
I'm quitting if there
He's
is
a beard guy.
Swain's done. Okay, so I think there won't be. He thinks there will be. Whoever is right gets to pick a gun from Destiny 2 that the other one has to delete. And we'll do this a month into Destiny 2. So it's been a month of grinding. We start to have our favorites. We're like, ooh, this one's really getting good. Maybe I'm at max light level or something like that. But if they're beards, then Mega gets to pick a gun for me to delete in Destiny 2 or the other way around. That's the bet.
Okay. Oh, I just had an idea. Can I get in on this bet? I want to bet that there are beards in Destiny 2, but you need your light to grow a beard. So everyone starts with beards, but then when you lose your light, your beard goes away. And when you get your light back, it regrows. And if I'm right, I will gain the power to grow a beard in real life.
I don't think that's going to work that way.
I feel like there's some dumb like exotics that's going to come out and some exotic
this is
armor.
A long shot. I understand. Oh, yeah. Just
enables beard growth.
There's going to be an exotic helmet that has a beard. It's going to be like that weird one for strikers with the face on it. It's going to like have a beard, and then someone's going to be like, technically there's a beard in Destiny 2. Or I'll be like, son of a, or like some NPC or something like that.
Oh, man.
You know what I want? I want an exotic helmet that is just a plastic fishbowl, so you can just see my face inside of a clear ball.
What, you mean you didn't like that snow globe thing?
All right. That's enough of this episode.
No suggestions. You're banned.
No more. Yeah, ban birds. Hashtag ban birds.
Season 2.
Anyway, we're going to end this with a few plugs. If you haven't already, check out our sponsor, Scuff Gaming. They make some nifty controllers, especially the Impact controller, which I just got. And it is clicky and it feels like a mechanical keyboard and it is so lovely. But use offer code Crucible to get yourself 5% off at checkout.
Have you figured out the 4 paddles yet? Do you have like a plan?
I'm getting there. The 2 inner paddles are almost like relearning how to use the Scuff. Like where you're like, oh shit, I have paddles. I should use them. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel. Do you use
different fingers or same fingers?
Same fingers.
Same fingers. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to ask everyone, we said it in the past, but I really mean it. If you enjoy the show, we would very much appreciate it if you head on over to iTunes and give us a review, preferably 5 stars, but I'll take 4, right?
No, 5.
5. Fine. Give us 5. You can send me your 4-star reviews.
Yes, yeah. Deliver Swain a personal DM with your 4-star opinion on Crucible Radio.
Yeah, tell me how Bones shouldn't be on, and that would be a 5-star review. Get rid of them. And get the 5. All right.
Sometimes it's not about what you add, but about who you cut.
That was a lovely episode, guys.
I'm excited.
Will see y'all next week with some more Destiny 2. Maybe an interesting roundtable discussion. That's a tease. We're doing teases in season 2.
I know how to tease this for this next coming week. I did so many interviews. Actually, we all did interviews. We did so many interviews with a ton of people at this Destiny 2 event. And then I got home and I listened to them. And it sounded exactly like you were in a giant airport hangar with industrial HVAC just blasting at full volume. They were almost to the point where we could share them on the show. Maybe we'll pull some clips out, but I would much rather just have a couple of those people back to talk about a very particular topic
with lovely microphones in the comfort of their home, not immediately during them playing it.
Yep. So stay tuned.
Yep.
Let's do this again next week, guys.
Sure. And 100 more weeks.
Deal. All right, see you for the next 100 weeks, guys.
100 episodes.
100 weeks.
Bye. Now, if, like me, you like to get down from time to time, then you need to go check out this band. This is Super Soul Bros. Check them out, supersoulbros.com. Hey, if you're a musician, we want to play your music on the show. We love hearing it. Send us an EP, send us an album, send us the track, whatever you made. Send it to crucibleradio@gmail.com.
Hello everyone, Swain here. You know that Crucible Radio is your source for all things Destiny PvP, and I know you want more than just this video, so make sure to head on over to crucibleradio.com to find all of our past episodes, detailed Crucible maps, t-shirts, and much, much more.